Good morning, students. Yesterday we saw regarding political science, India's foreign policy. Now we will see foreign policy, but in two phases. First, 1947 to 1990, and second phase, 1919 till today. Most important, we have to understand that the world politics after the Second World War started to change, and it changed drastically. First World War resulted into Second World War, and to avoid furthermore such destructions, the world community or the nations of the world comes together to form a platform. We call it United Nations Organization. For example, UNO. UNO was established in 1945 and India became independent in 1947. India's independence and establishment of UNO are too closely connected to each other. So naturally, some of the aims of UNO are also reflected in India's constitution. Now, yesterday we also saw Article 51 giving the guidelines related to the India's foreign policy. Vasudev Kutumbakam, as we call it, is the motto of Indian philosophy in terms of world politics. And the same line, going with the same line on the same path, the first government of India comes into power and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru leading it. First Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, declares the foreign policy. We all know that the foreign policy in terms of India was related to the importance given to the peace, not only the interior part of India but also at the global level. So, after the First World War, culminating into the Second World War, and the experience of the Second World War, drastic experience, particularly related to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and this was the first war. Second World War was the first war which was fought in the air, on the ground, and also on the water bodies. It also encompassed the whole of the world, the Australia, Asia, Europe, Africa, and America. All five continents directly came into or became the battlefields of it. So the whole of the world was now to avoid in any sense all any means the behavior which will rather culminate into the second or after the second war culminate into further wars. But the scenario never remains the same. After the Second World War, particularly Germany, Japan, Italy defeated, so there was no space for the world leadership as England and France, the then global leaders, suffered economic losses. They were totally engaged in their own upliftment in economical sense, and slowly the world come into forefront with two global leaders, one USA and second USSR. This is Russia, this is America. So both of them coming together. One is capitalist, one is socialist. America was capitalist and democratic, whereas this was socialist. Both the nations wanted to expand the territories of capitalism and socialism all over the world. And suddenly after 1945, that is the end of the Second World War and establishment of UNO, these nations started putting pressure on the new nations, which were the newly born independent states. Definitely being prosperous, being superpower, and also developed, the European nations now started having their hatred once again under the leadership of capitalism USA, socialist USSR. So these two groups slowly culminated into the warlike situations, not war, warlike situations, and they started gaining sympathy of many of the nations towards them. Keep it in mind, both the nations, the Americans and the Russians, or the USSR, the then USSR, having socialist power, came into being, and they slowly the hatred against each other comes on the forefront. To stop the expansion of socialism in Europe, England asked America to lead the capitalist or democratic setup, and for that the USA started providing leadership in favor of capitalism. Now these are the two economic states, whereas some of the newly born states were not ready to join either USA or USSR. India was one among them. India achieved its independence in 1945. So 1947 and 1947 onwards, the hatred among the two groups started to increase. They always threatened each other of the war-like situations, and the world was afraid, knowing the ability of nuclear capability that America used against Japan. So naturally, being the new states, these states totally were under the pressure of either America or Russia. Now, what was the biggest asset of this pressure? The biggest profit these two gained was in terms of defense system. So to avoid these conflicts, India chose the middle path. Middle path, that is, India accepted the economy as mixed economy. India accepted mixed economy. One. Second, non-alignment. Non-alignment became the main part of India. So many of the countries coming together in the name of non-alignment, that is neither joining Russia nor joining America. So non-alignment, that is the middle path, was chosen by India. And with the mixed economy, the sectors which were rather open for all, the private sector started working there just like the capitalist, and the sectors where they were not, means the private sectors were not ready to invest money, which needed a large amount of money, public sector or government of India entered into it, just like the socialism. So it was a mixed economy. Just like India, England also have the mixed economy. So mixed economy become a major part, and India slowly started to develop. We are speaking about the foreign policy. Now, adopting the middle path in the name of non-alignment, India also started supporting many of the African countries or the countries which were under imperialistic states as the colonies of the Europeans, particularly the Europeans. Now, at the same time, because of the hatred amongst each other or groups against each other, these two nations started to inbuild the military organizations. And these military organizations, one of the biggest or powerful organization, NATO. And to tackle the NATO force, Warsaw Pact came into being in East Europe under the leadership of Moscow or Russia. So along with this, to tackle America in Asia and some other parts, America entered into the military pact with many other countries, including Pakistan. America, Pakistan and some other near about 11 nations comes together in South Asia to organize a military organization where America wanted to create its base and successfully plays a major role in South Asian continent of Arabia and South Asia. Now here India was the main target. India, China, Russia, but we are speaking about India's foreign policy. So India comes here And in that terms, Pakistan against India was supported by USA. With the help of USA or USA's defense equipments, this Pakistan enters into war with India first as soon as we gain independence, 47, 48, then 65 and 70. 70, 72 as we call it is here the creation of Bangladesh, and 99, 98, 99 Kargil war. Now these four wars with Pakistan and one with China, 65. So this war put an economic burden on India. At this juncture, when India's defense was exposed, particularly with China, India's defense system totally got exploited. And we come to know that we lack in defense system far behind. Though Russia, France and Germany always supported India in setting up its military or military equipments. But it was the help, and on the help one cannot be self-reliant. So naturally India also aimed for self-reliance. Aiming at the self-reliance was since the beginning. But for that it was not so much easier as India's economy was not strong enough. Because the economy was weak enough, India in that context tried its best in the name of socialism, where public sector opened the gates for many of the industries in India. Railways totally, automotive engine, and one of the best example about the four-wheeler factory is Maruti Suzuki. It's a public sector unit which today near about more than 50% of the automobile industry of India is totally with Maruti or Maruti Suzuki. Also expanding its territories in European Union. So naturally, along with the quantity, quality also started to increase. But this was all before 1990. Why 1990? So the first phase, as we compile it, from 47 to 91, just after the Second World War, America and Russia comes against each other in the ideological differences of capitalism, democracy, socialism. Can't say military, but it was socialism that never supported capitalism. These two groups confronted against each other in many various sectors. And because of that, the world was dragged into the war. Small wars, Indo-Pak, 3 times. One Kargil, the best example. Apart from that, against China. So, though there was conflict, ideological conflict between India and Pakistan in the name of Kashmir till today, it is, yet because of the financial, because of the defense, because of the political support of America, Pakistan always dared to destabilize Indian economy. And this till today goes on throughout the world. Many countries suffer which are politically weak, which are economically weak, cannot stand on their own with any decision in the world in this regard. So the groups slowly aim at targeting the non-aligned nation. One, second, as India went against war with Pakistan and China. At this juncture, relationship with other nations also proved to be an important target. India totally depends on petroleum products with the Arabian nations. So Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the giants in the petroleum products. India do not have one and the same relationship with all. Till 1990, India did not have political contacts with Israel. Today, Israel is one of the best friendly nation of India. And particularly, the defense as it was, slowly India knew that without defense, India cannot strongly stand in either South Asia, Asia or the global platforms. So India went for its self-reliance also in the name of defense, and first nuclear test at Pokhran under the leadership of Indira Gandhi, as we saw in the last lecture, came into being. The world acknowledge India's power, though not the whole of the world. Again, India also entered into the ISRO satellite launching, and slowly it became a giant in terms of launching rockets, satellites of various nations. After that, India also now started developing its own well equipped military setup. Now, this was the first stage, whatever we saw. Here we have to understand that till day means till 1990, because of the world being divided into two groups, India was not as a global leader. But after 1990, the whole of the world experienced a new scenario. That is the second phase. Most important, the second phase is with the beginning of end of the Cold War. End of the Cold War was with disintegration of Russia. Disintegration of Russia into many smaller states. Slowly, Russia loses its supremacy as a global leader against America, and America remains a unipower. So, because of this, USA stands alone as superpower. Naturally, the whole world is now the market of America, and America wants to increase its capitalism all over the world. For this, the biggest asset that was enemy nations, that is the USA and USSR, both the groups, that is NATO and Warsaw. The nations that were the members and the non-alignment members, all which were against each other directly or indirectly, now started to be rival nations. Competition started increasing. All these nations wanted their contacts. As India needed the help of USA, so did USA also need Indian market. Now, though USA supported Pakistan in the first phase, now the same scenario remains. Geographical area remains the same, but political scenario changes in terms of foreign policy, and because India started joining hands with USA being a big market, USA needs India or Indian people as a market to purchase their products. Now, this puts pressure on America not to support Pakistan in each and every activity. So, because of that, slowly the foreign relationship with America started to reshuffle. Now, America started moving towards India, backing India in many sense because of the economic structure. That means economy plays a major role in foreign policy. Also, second, in 1998, India again went for a nuclear test under the leadership of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. It was also the time when Kargil war was fought, and at this juncture, India again was exposed in terms of defense, but now India was not the same as it was till 1970. 1970s, 1947, 65, 70, 65, all these wars, as India was a weak economy, a weak nation in terms of defense, it was not the same till Kargil. In Kargil, India's supremacy, slowly the world view was in aerospace. Air Force of India showed its strength, and Kargil, one of the highest region of the war fields, came under Indian span. Now, this was something India understood and slowly started investing its money or strength of education, intelligence in defense system. Because of this, slowly the world acknowledged Indian power. Also at this time, it was the term period of culmination, not only at the international level, inside India also. Ram Janmabhoomi, Shah Bano, Supreme Court verdict against the alimony. And there were some other factors, that is the Mandal Ayog during the VP Singh government. India's economy, as during Prime Minister Chandrasekhar, India's gold was kept in the Bank of England because India's economy was lacking its support. And all all these things for near about 8 to 10 years, 1990 to 2000, showed India a new way. This was also the time when P.V. Narasimha Rao opened the gates of India. Now, whatever P.V. Narasimha Rao was doing is not only in India, but when non-aligned movement was going on, these nations accepted or adopted a new policy putting pressure on America and Russia, asking for new international economic order. New international economic order. Now, what is it? Actually, it was something that these nations of non-alignment were demanding. But at the same time, when Russia disintegrated into smaller nations and supremacy of Russia as a socialist state slowly collapsed against America, all these nations of non-alignment wanted Russia as well as America for technological benefit, for intelligence, and at the same time doors of these nations also, or rather the powerful nations, started to open for the nations that were either developing or underdeveloped. We can see the supremacy of Indians all over the world now in intelligence. Indian doctors, Indian engineers, Indian technicians, and apart from that, many others in business fields also are expanding their ties with other nations. Now, these people moving outside India proved to be slowly an asset for India. They put pressure on those governments, and in this way, the foreign policy of those governments on looking towards India slowly changed. We know that one example I am giving, which is not a part of our text, but you can understand it. We know that in America, with the elections, many Indians are also the voters of America. Because they have the nationality of America, we call them NRI, non-resident Indians. Now, these people, because are the voters of America and they are large in number, the political parties of America tried their best to lure these people. And for that, they make statements in favor of India. Now, this is something, though they are or not in favor of India, but the statements come in favor of India. Now, this is how America supports India, or some other nations also supports India. Second, since beginning, we know that Russia, France, Germany supported India in terms of defense. But now, India is also having partnership with America, Israel, and some other nations. At the same time, many smaller countries of the world, developing or underdeveloped countries of the world, are purchasing the equipments from India. Now, because of the economic instability or because of the economic self-sufficiency among the countries of the world, they are moving towards India because India is rather cheap as compared to others. And that is why, in the terms of satellite launching, India has arisen as a global giant. India's place in satellite launching vehicle is one of the best. Even America supports India in this context. So it is because of this that nations are coming together because of this new international economic policy. At the same time, we must understand that though there is a new economic policy, yet this policy do not support wholeheartedly all the nations of the world. The nations of the world which are either developing or underdeveloped are exploited with the resources by the developed nations. Because of the new economic policy, globalization, liberalization came forward. And in the name of liberalization, WTO, World Trade Organization, was established. It became a statutory organization which rather have its rules and regulations, and they are forcefully implemented all over the world. Indirectly speaking, again, the America and its allies, or America, Russia and some other nations, again are becoming stronger. Now, instead of war defense equipments, they are moving towards slowly the economic policy. Nowadays, if a war is to be conducted, the first important step taken by any nation is giving a ban for them in terms of economy. Economic sanctions are levied. No other nations of the world are ready to cooperate with those nations, and in this way, the economy collapse. The best example, because we are in 2020, is of Corona. Due to lockdown, all the companies are in the standstill position. Naturally, the give and take among the people is only restricted for daily needs. Now, because of this, all the luxurious articles, all the luxurious behaviors have stopped. Tourism, air, air vehicles, even the railways, the roadways were stopped so that people should not go from one area or should not be able to cross the boundaries. This is how the areas were restricted, and because of that, oil fields or oil sector totally got disturbed. Petroleum products throughout the world was at the lowest, and this also indirectly resulted into the purchase and sale of many other luxurious articles. So this is how the nations which were totally dependent on buying and selling of certain articles, that is the service sectors or the production units, today are losing much more grounds in the same way. Here also we have to understand the foreign policy, as because India is a big market, 130 crore plus the population, many of the countries even do not have half the population of India. Naturally, it is only one nation which can provide a big asset in terms of global market. So many, not many, all the countries of the world wants India to be a purchaser, and for that they always want good position, good relationship with India. Same is with India. India also requires many good quality products, and for that India always joins hands with those nations which otherwise help India in many other sectors. One best example, because China is having its good link with Pakistan, China always supports Pakistan in all the fields against India too. And in United Nations Security Council, when it comes for voting against the terrorist activities of Pakistan in India, China supports Pakistan. We are studying about foreign policy. Though this is the bilateral issue that is between China and Pakistan, it is against India. So, Indian foreign policy we have to understand. As many of the nations are supporting India, there are also nations who are in opposed to India. And if we try to understand this, we can totally avoid buying and purchasing of Chinese products. That slowly will culminate into lacking of the market of Chinese products in India, destabilizing Chinese economy. Now, this is the smallest thing which can do in the name of patriotism. If we really love India, we should purchase only and only those articles which are in favor of India. So, made in India, make in India are some of the, there are many products which are of better quality or as compared to the Chinese products. And if we avoid these Chinese products and purchase all other nations or Indian products, it will be a big setback to China. Now, economy in this sense plays a major role. Geographically speaking, as the India is a peninsula, Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea and Indian Ocean are the territorial water bodies of India. Many of the raw material that is available in these water bodies is needed by other countries. So give and take and movement through water from one area to other area, providing essential commodities or necessities by India as a helping hand, strengthens the unity among friendship for these nations. Also, as India supports many other nations in the name of freedom, independence, after 1945 to 1990, many of the nations owe their respect to India. During the non-alignment movement, India as a global leader of non-alignment always supported the nations that were in captivity of the Europe, not only European but other nations. And for that, India always supported independence of all nations. Freedom, equality, liberty is something India always propagates. And for that, also at an international level, the steps of India are in the same way. But there are yet some nations which, in their own in their own self prosperity or in the name of economic benefits, are targeting India and supporting other nations. If we try to understand this, we can support India in the name of patriotism just by purchasing only and only the products that are not made by those countries, particularly China. So this is how the foreign policies become strong. If the people are vigilant, if the people understands the importance of self-reliance, if the people do not neglect the so-called buying and purchasing against the enemy countries, this will put pressure on other nations not to interfere in the interior matters of India. For example, we suffered this in Northeast, we suffered this in South India, we suffered this in Punjab, and now we are suffering the same in Kashmir. A huge amount is a huge amount is invested in the name of defense, either in Kashmir and prior to that in many other parts. So this is how to create a pan-India, we have to come together, understand the foreign policy, importance of foreign policy, and for that we will have to make India a self-reliant. Only then, after 1990 till today, as India is gaining its supremacy in a region, slowly becoming a leader in not only in Asia but outside the Asia span of Asia also, India can definitely be a global player in world politics. Thank you.